I have been wanting to do this series for so long, and I was going to do it on TikTok, but I realized I would need a lot more time than TikTok allows to talk through my favorite authors, but not just my favorite authors, because I want to tell you what my favorite books are from my favorite authors and my least favorite books, because it doesn't really matter which author it is. Even if they're on my favorite authors list, I definitely have a book I absolutely hated and a book I absolutely loved, and I want to talk through that. And I'm going to go by genre. And this one we're going to do Romantasy, because that is my primary genre right now. That's just what I'm gravitating towards. That's what I'm reading the most of. I anticipate by April I'll be back into rom-coms and contemporary, but for now I've really just been focusing on Romantasy and fantasy. So here are my favorite Romantasy authors. Okay, this is my favorite series of all time. I have read this countless times. My password used to be the main character's name. I am obsessed with this series. It has informed my childhood, my adolescence, my teenage years, and even into adulthood. There are just quotes in here and in these books that have informed my entire life. And it is the Fever series by Karen Marie Moning. I would go so far as to say this is one of the OG Romantasy series, and it came out in the early 2000s. The first book came out and was published in 2006. Now, Karen Marie Moning was a published romance author before this series. This was her moving from historical urban or historical contemporary romance with the Fae, and it was like an interconnected standalone series. Urban fantasy / romantasy. This is one of the OG Romantasy series. I would dare say a lot of the current series that are really popular draw a lot of inspiration from this series. Don't want to give you too many spoilers on it either, because this whole series is built on foreshadowing in the first 3 books, I would say, and then reveals in the last 2 books of this series. And then this series is split into 2 parts. So you have the first part, I dare say this is like Act 1, first 5 books, okay? And these are from Michaela Lane's perspective. It follows Michaela Lane, and she goes to Dublin to find out who murdered her sister. They can't find the culprit. She's really pissed about it. And she is a 23-year-old, blonde, vain, privileged white woman who has never had a care in the world. Really, she's from Georgia. She has always been pretty. She's always received pretty privilege. And now she's in Dublin. And while in Dublin, realizes she has the ability to see the Fae. Not everyone can, and as she sees them, she realizes there's 1, a lot of shenanigans going on, and 2, they're doing a lot of bad things, and there's more and more of them coming into Dublin, and she's not sure why. She meets a bookstore owner. His name is Jericho Behrens, and he's clearly not just a bookstore owner. She meets him, and she starts working at that bookstore through a series of events. And they realize she has, in addition to being able to see the Fae, another skill set that is particularly valuable to him. And it's that she can sense this book. It's called the Shiseido, and she can sense it. She can sense when it's close to her. He's looking for it. Jericho Behrens is actively looking for this book. He wants possession of it, and he's not the only one. Most people in the elite game in Dublin and in the world are also looking for the Shiseido and would do horrible, awful, disturbing things to get their hands on it. Now, she doesn't know why he wants it. She doesn't know why she can sense it. All she knows is that she wants to find who murdered her sister, and Jericho Behrens is somehow connected to that, and she's not sure how, but she's going to find out the answers. Michaela Lane and this whole story, I think, is a masterclass in character development, because we see Michaela Lane go from a vapid, shallow, nary a care in the world, privileged young girl to what she becomes. And what she becomes is this incredibly powerful, strong, independent, intelligent woman who is doing her damnedest to save everyone she loves. It's impeccable. And the foreshadowing in the first 3 books that ends with like the reveals at the end of the last 2 books will keep you on your toes. I followed this series. Every book was released. I started reading it when the 3rd book was out, Fae Fever. So I probably picked it up. I think Fae Fever had just come out. They were releasing these annually. And I think Fae Fever had just come out. So 2008, I started reading these. And I would save my money so that I could pre-order the books. And they would be delivered to my house when they released. And then I would binge them that night. And then I'd have to wait another year for the next book. And then some of the books didn't come out for like a year and a half. It was awful. My life, it was awful. I was devastated when the books were delayed. I didn't have like the capability to handle it a lot of the times because I was so young. Oh, good times. I thought the world was ending. I'm gonna be real. I was so young at that time. I thought the world was ending. Now there isn't spice in this. I will say this is not a spicy series. So there's like some very romantic moments and there are some like tense moments, but it's not terribly explicit. I would say some of the other books that I'm going to recommend are much more explicit, but even in Romantasy, I don't really enjoy the super explicit scenes except for a few books. Most of the time I do enjoy when it's, you know, a lighter touch in a Romantasy, but this series is not super spicy. It is just filled with tension and hate, bordering on love, and just these 2 characters trying to understand one another and not. Just patently not. It's so good. If you haven't read this series, keep in mind it's an older series. Michaela Lane is wearing like Juicy Couture tracksuits and, you know, she's like, she has a flip phone, right? It's an older series, but it is just masterful in the way that it is done. Also, she has released a new series. The House at Watch Hill is the first book in that series. I read this. I loved it. It's full of her classic foreshadowing that will prove to probably come to fruition in the latter end of the 2nd book and then in the 3rd book. And this is just a trilogy. So I'm excited to see what she does with this world. And it's phenomenal. It's all very Celtic. It's all very Druid. It's all very in that world. And it's, oh my God, it's so good. So please, like literally, it is my mission in life to get people to read this series. So my favorite book, back to why I fully started this series. My favorite book in the series, even though it does continue. Like the series does continue. There are so many more books. My favorite book has to be Shadow Fever, which is the end of the 1st act. It's just everything that you have gone through emotionally, the reveals that you get in here, the lore, like the answered questions, it's so good. If I could erase my memory of this book and reread it, I would. I absolutely would. My mom was blown reading this book. I can't even describe it to you. You have to get through all 5 books. And you'll binge them. You'll binge them. Guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. My least favorite book is the book that comes immediately after Act 1, which is Iced. I honestly recommend people don't even read this. If you want to continue on with the series, I do recommend them. They're not as good as Act 1, but Act 2 is still incredibly enjoyable and it gets you even more answers. And I love the whole series, but Act 1 is like God tier for me. Iced is a catastrophe. It's awful. I don't know what she was thinking. It follows a different character. It follows Dani, but we're still in the fever world. You do get to see Mac a little bit, if I remember correctly, because I did read it, but I skimmed it. Like the last half of it, I skimmed because it was boring. Dani was annoying. I didn't care for the plot. You do meet some characters that are really important later on, but you could actively skip this book and be fine. You could actively skip it. Read the synopsis, you're good. Literally. It's terrible, and I think most people in the fandom agree with that one. The rest of the books, I really enjoyed. Dani is a controversial character, not me, the character in the book. She's a controversial character, a little bit annoying, but I really liked her. And I really enjoyed her story as well, because we do get some books from her POV. This series is God tier to me. I will hear no criticisms about it. It is what it is. You know, you can say you disliked it. I will say you're wrong. Patently. Patently. The common criticism I hear is that Michaela Lane is really annoying. And to that, I will say she's supposed to be. You're supposed to be annoyed with her. Because as you progress through the novel, she changes. She evolves. She becomes something else. But within the story, you're also learning you can't eviscerate essential self. She is who she is to her core. But her character changes. She evolves. She grows. And it's that aspect of the Fever series that is so masterful that I don't often see done very well in Romantasy specifically. And it's why I love it. It's absolutely why I love it. Okay, I'll stop waxing poetic about my favorite series. We'll go on to the next one. Okay, if you've been online in the bookish space for any period of time, you will have definitely seen Grace Draven recommended. Her most popular series is the series that begins with Radiance, goes to Eidolon, and ends with the Ippos King, and there is a novella that just came out, and this is by far her most popular series. It is probably her best. Yeah, it's probably her best. It's impeccable. I love this series. We have arranged marriage, but it's not in a way that where they dislike each other. Like, they actually quite quickly become friends, but they're not attracted to each other. They're two different species, but they had this arranged marriage for political purposes. They're both aristocrats, but unimportant aristocrats. So they have to participate, they have to play the game, they have to put on the show of being part of this system, but they are on the outskirts of it. They're not important, they're not revered, they're just living their lives until some things happen. This is so good. You can read these as standalones. I do still recommend Eidolon, and I definitely recommend the Ippos King, but you're following a different couple in this one that you do meet in these books. I recommend all of these. They're incredible. Grace Draven does a phenomenal job of not really using traditional tropes. Like, it's not tropey, if that makes sense. It's very unique, it's very original. The world is so vivid and well crafted. And there's a certain sense, there's a certain air about her stories where it's very distinct. I'll say that. Loved this series. This is not my favorite. It is the best, and I love it. It's incredible. It's not my favorite. My favorite from her, it has to be Master of Crows. It has to be Master of Crows. There's something about Grace Draven's characters where the majority of them are not, they're not like these super powerful girl bosses. They're not these, you know, incredibly gifted or talented people. They're quietly strong individuals. They're not exuberant, they're not out there, they're not stunning and gorgeous. They're quietly intelligent, quietly strong. They don't have to display their strength. They just are, if that makes sense. Master of Crows follows Silhara of Narth and Martise. Martise is an enslaved woman, enslaved to this like bishop, and he decides she needs to go stay with Silhara of Narth. He is called the Master of Crows. He's incredibly powerful, and they don't like that. The Conclave doesn't like how powerful he is, and they can't control him. So they send Martise in to spy on him. Now here's the thing. Martise knows she's a spy, the bishops know she's a spy, the Conclave knows she's a spy, Silhara knows she's a spy. Everyone knows, but she's still she's still doing it. So he's not happy that she's there, but he has to deal with it. And the way he deals with it is by just like actively using her to work on his farm. He has an orangery, and, you know, just like accidentally falling in love with her, and she accidentally falls in love with him, and it becomes this whole, it's not what you think it is. It's hilarious too, because Silhara is so grumpy. Like, this hates oranges, hates them, owns an orangery, eats an orange every day for breakfast. Actively hates them. Actively. The banter is good, the world is good, the story's good, everything's immaculate. I loved it. I love all her books, so I'll be honest. If I had to pick a least favorite, if I had to, it would probably be Raven Unveiled. Now this is the third in the Fallen Empire series. The first is Phoenix Unbound, which is immaculate. Tied with Radiance for second place in my favorites. This is so good. If you like burning and reunions, if you like those things in books, you will absolutely adore this. Every year, the Empire requires that every village send one person to burn at the stake. It's a sacrifice to the gods. Ghislaine has this talent where she doesn't burn. She has this magic, she just doesn't burn. So every year she's given up as the person to burn. Her appearance is disguised. Doesn't burn, she escapes, she goes back, repeats. One year, Azarion, who is a gladiator, he figures it out. He can see through her facade a little bit. He figures it out and he kidnaps her and they escape together. And he was the Empress's absolute favorite gladiator. And she would routinely abuse him as well. Sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, all of it. So he escapes with Ghislaine. And it's them making their way back to his tribe. And I won't tell you anymore. They do fall in love. This is, oh my God, so good. I can't even explain to you. I know at the end of this book, the last line is, I know you. And if you've read this, it rips your heart out. It absolutely rips your heart out because in the best way, in a good way. It's a happy ending. It's not a sad ending. So good. It does continue on. Dragon Unleashed follows characters you do meet in Phoenix Unbound. This was okay. Raven Unveiled, also okay. We follow the same characters. They're still good stories. I would still read them. I don't think I'm gonna reread them. If I'm rereading any of Grace Draven's books, it's gonna be Master of Crows, which I literally just reread like a month ago. It's gonna be Phoenix Unbound, or it's gonna be Radiance, and this whole series. I'll reread these ad nauseum, over and over again. I have read these many times. So if you haven't read Grace Draven, you're in for a wild ride. Enjoy. I'm honestly so jealous you get to read them for the first time. Okay, let's talk about the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. I would take out all the books for this, but there's like 25 of them, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do that. The Black Dagger Brotherhood series is interconnected, standalone, paranormal, urban, fantasy romance. Each book follows a different brother of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. They are vampires, they are fighting their mortal enemy who are known as Lessers. And in the first book, which is Dark Lover, we meet the king of the vampires who does not want to be a king. His name is Wrath. We meet Wrath and Beth, who he falls in love with. That's like the couple in this book. You also meet a lot of the other brothers who you're going to see their stories in later books. Series, it's just fun. It's wild. It's like insane. It's very vampire, paranormal, 2000s-esque. I mean, look at the author. She is, I've interviewed her. The interview's out on my channel. You can watch it if you want. She's everything you think she is based on the books. They are spicy. They are entertaining as hell. The world that she creates is extremely expansive. My favorite is one I don't own because the hardback cover of it, the hardback version is so ungodly expensive. It's like $500 at this point. It's called Lover Eternal, and it follows Hollywood, it's the second book in the series, and he falls in love with Mary, who's just this very unassuming, sweet, kind woman. I loved her character. She doesn't think she's a particularly pretty person, but she is a very kind and loving person, and I loved that about her. Because all the other characters that you meet, everyone's insanely gorgeous, everyone is insanely tall and pretty, but Mary is she's a very simple looking person, but a beautiful soul. And that is what makes her a stunning human being. I loved that. So Lover Eternal is my favorite. My least favorite is anything that comes after book 12. Book 12 is where we actually we're with Hollywood again. So it's a continuation of Lover Eternal, essentially. Like, after a series of events that you get in the books between Lover Eternal and this book, you get a lot of information, a lot of things happen. So she wraps up his story in this book. The thing about this series is they are interconnected, but they're not standalones. You have to read each book in order. Each book has different POVs, and the POVs vary from book to book. So it's very much like Game of Thrones in that you have to read them in order so that you understand what's going on in each character's POVs, and it informs the next book. Even though there's a main love story within each novel, you get POVs from a whole bunch of different characters. I will say, after this book, the series dramatically goes downhill. I'll be honest. There are only a fair few that I enjoyed after this. I will say though, Ambassador is one of the most recent releases. It is, I think, book like 24 in the series. In this book, we kind of get a full revamping of the world and like a reset almost. So I am hopeful the next books are going to be really, they're going to like improve, because now we're back to following the original characters, and those are who I think everyone fell in love with. All of these side characters are just the ones that we follow, from like The Chosen to all the side characters. You didn't really enjoy them because you didn't know them as well as you know the original cast of characters. So now we're getting their children's stories, and I think that'll be a bit better. But I will say, you can fully stop at The Beast, and I think you'll be good, to be honest. Like, you could fully stop and maybe pick up at Lassiter if you want. It'll be a bit confusing, but like the books in between aren't good. They're just not. This last series, this is from TikTok. I found these other series I found pre-TikTok. This series I found on TikTok and was recommended to me by so many mutuals, so many people. I finally picked it up, and God tier. This series is God tier to me now. It is inspired by Turkish culture, and I will say it is written by a white woman who lived in Turkey while working for the US military. She was stationed in Turkey. She is incredibly vocal about the rights of Palestinians, about the genocide that is ongoing, and from what I've seen of Arab people in the community, they wholeheartedly approve of her, and the work that she has done to make this an accurate and apt representation of the Turkish culture, but in a fantasy world. I don't know Turkish culture that well, but from what I understand, it is incredibly well done. This series is an interconnected standalone series with an overarching arc. I kind of think of it as like what they did with Avatar: The Last Airbender in those 3 series. There's like these side quests, there's like other things that happen. Ultimately, there's an overall arc of it that you're working towards. And that's what happens in these books. So you do have to read them in order, because you have to understand what's happening with the overall structure of everything. The whole premise is that Naime is the daughter of the Sultan. Women aren't allowed to be in positions of authority. She can't ascend to the Sultan position, but she wants to. So she's trying to work in the background politically to become the Sultana, take her father's position after he dies. And he's very, very sick. He has Alzheimer's. As someone who is caring for a person with Alzheimer's, it is very difficult to read for me, but it's well done. In this book, there is a prince. His name's Makram. He is from a neighboring country. We're in Tamar with Naime. Naime wants to be the Sultana of Tamar. Makram is from Sarkum, which is a neighboring country. In Sarkum, magic is very much empowered, enabled. Death magic is specifically. And when you meet Makram, he's the prince of that neighboring country, and Naime is an air mage. What does that mean? There is what's called the wheel, and the wheel is all of the powers one can have, and the wheel is the balance of the universe. So within the wheel, you have 6 different powers, magics, if you will. Air, water, creation, earth, fire, destruction. And when all of the charas are present, the wheel is balanced. The problem is that they haven't had a creation mage, let alone a Chara, for centuries, and death mages are fully banned because of what happened in the war within Tamar. If you're a death mage, you have to escape and go somewhere else. If Nyame wants to balance the wheel and become the Sultana, she's going to have to find mages, and she has to find the Charas of each house, which is going to be very hard for the creation mage specifically, since there hasn't been one in ages, not to mention a Chara. And death mages fully banned. So how is she going to find a Chara? The Chara, because there's only like one. There's only one Chara of each house, and she has to find all 6. Very difficult undertaking. But she's determined to do it. So my favorite book of this series is Reign and Ruin. This is very political. It's very engaging. Nyame is an incredible character. I love the way Makram loves her. I won't tell you much about the story because the reveals and the politics, they're so engaging. So, and I want you to be as surprised as I was by everything that happens. I won't tell you about that, but as you progress through the series, you follow the Chara of each of the houses, and you kind of see how she's slowly putting together the wheel. It's very cool. It's very interesting. My least favorite is probably Wind and Wildfire, which follows Nyame's parents, only because I didn't really engage with it, but I think also I wanted more from like the original cast of characters than I did from her parents. I found myself just kind of not caring as much, but still a good book. Still enjoyed it. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I don't have a hard copy of that one because the hard copy hasn't come out yet. I did spend money to get all of these in hardback signed. I anticipate these will be picked up by a traditional publisher at some point because they're so good. We are supposed to get a novella in 2025 and book 5 in 2025 and then book 6 in 2026, and that will complete the series. The fact that this is God tier for me is incredible because I've only read it one time through and it has impacted me in many, many ways. It's so good. Like it's so good. Please read it. Like literally please read all of these authors because these romantasies are top tier. These are the best of the best. Obviously there are other romantasies that I really enjoyed. One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, for example. The Bridge Kingdom series. Mid Clouds and Bones by Ella Fields. Scattered Bones by Nicole Scarano, but I haven't read all of their books. So I can't say if they're my favorite author or not because I haven't read all their books. I will say I love the books that I have read. So some romantasy authors that I definitely want to prioritize this year are Nicole Scarano, Ella Fields, to read those for sure. And then there are a couple other indie authors that have been recommended that I want to check out and try. So that is what is on the docket next. I do think for the next in the series, I want to do, well, you let me know what you want me to do. Contemporary, erotic, or historical. You let me know what you want to see. And yeah. Okay, well, so thank you for watching this whole video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!